Simultaneous to this experiment, the gurus of pseudoscience would offer man a blend of hard science and mysticism. Satan is a good study. He is well aware of man's burning desire for illumination and power. Following the close of the Enduring Freedom Campaign, as public attention was being drawn to Afghanistan, American scientists, quite by accident, some would say cosmic providence, discovered the ancient remains of what appeared to be a primitive particle accelerator. The underground tunneling and the presence of large amounts of plutonium pointed towards ancient advanced technology. Carbon dating placed the facility back as far as 3000 BC. The existence of advanced societies was captivating the imagination of Western science. These tunnels span through miles of iron deposits, more than a mile beneath the desert. The initial expedition also uncovered stone tablets that were encrypted with ancient Sumerian glyphs. The writings gave clear indication that they possessed the scientific capacity to understand and manipulate subatomic matter. Other aspects of the writings were difficult to read due to aging. The concurrence between the Babylonian accelerator and present research went beyond coincidence. In a short 18 months, the Aladdin Project was up and running. The highway beneath the sand would provide a stretch long enough to launch Adam's race into the core of antimatter, which just happened to be the same exit as the Sagittarius star cluster located in the center of the Milky Way. The parallels between the old and new world technologies were strangely coincidental. There were aspects of the original project that were enshrouded in mystery. The tablets rendered the theory and some part of the application. The outcome of the experiment was uncertain. Aladdin was up and running before some of the heretofore unreadable glyphs revealed the catastrophic results of the original device. Vague tracings suggested unforeseen complications that led to a meltdown in the predecessor system core.
Since the conclusion of World War II, American and German scientists have been conducting a number of experiments that were supported by agencies that were not identified with the usual alphabet soup designations. For example, CIA, DoD, and FBI. After the establishment of Israel in 1948, the success of the Manhattan Project and the formal presentation Alien Agenda in Roswell, New Mexico, Western science went exponential. The confluence of information, resource, and engineering provided the West with a huge head start. The contributions of men such as Robert Oppenheimer and Albert Einstein were essential in providing the United States with an advantage. There were other players invited into the halls of science that had no regard for the message of Christ, no regard for human life or the American way.
The focal point of this project will simply highlight two areas of prominence. This writer will not include the existence of extraterrestrials as an uncovering, as this was never a matter of conjecture in advanced scientific circles. How these agencies would go about burying this information would require sciences in human engineering and psychology that would stun the reader. The increase of knowledge over the last 63 years is more than 20 times the advancement of knowledge over the last 6,000 years of recorded history. The frontiers of astrophysics and genetics will gain honorable mention as they both have been enhanced by alien intelligence. The references to the 2012 event that have become a rage in your time space were a well-known fact to the scientists that America imported before the end of World War II. The gradual magnetic shift that would be taking place between 1998 and 2012 was taken into careful consideration. This galactic alignment would at once provide an optimal connectivity consistent with several major world religions, while providing certain very real and imminent environmental changes based on magnetic force action on the tectonic plates, thus bringing about the very instability that the globalists would use to prop up their empire. The extraterrestrials would help man to build a connectivity device. The call would be on a direct dial to the command center of hell, and Satan would take the call on the very first ring. In 2012, the Earth would make its final alignment, sinking the Aladdin accelerator with the center of the galaxy. With its iron foundation, the magnetic forces, and the blessing of the extraterrestrials, the walls separating the split realms would crumble, collapsing dimensions. In the mind of conventional science, this would simply produce dark matter, a new source of energy. After all, man's issues were all about resource. All of the fighting in the Middle East was essentially for oil reserves. Assuming that the operation was a success, man's reliance on fossil fuel would be a thing of the past. Man's issues were not about resource. It went deeper into the soul of man. No power on earth could satisfy man's need for empowerment and significance. Given the significant leaps in quantum science and the understanding of time, energy, and space, the placement of the site was optimal. The theoretical work has long since been accomplished. It was a simple matter to construct the hardware, and the energy assist would be provided by the magnetic affinity between the Earth and the heart of the mysterious dark void. With the cosmic alignment of the 2012 event, the lab would initiate a sequence of processes that would give man a small peek behind the curtain of creation, or so they thought. The intent of the project was to simulate the original conditions existing at the beginning of time. In the mind of agonistic science, man would look into the dark mirror of his beginnings, only to see himself falling into a deep void of self-worship. Just because you can do something does not make it right. In the end, like every other society that has presumed access to the tree that bore the knowledge of good and evil, they too would be exploited by the deep dark awaiting them. Like the father of this world, in the end, it is all about pride. If the discovery of dark matter had any utility, it would be exploited. Man also falsely presumes that discovery is the equivalent of creation. Man was simply using order to explain higher order. But on this occasion, science opened up a Pandora's box, and that for the very last time. Since science no longer ascribed to the existence of evil or sin, the extraterrestrials were a tangible source of illumination. They were advanced. Advanced must be good, right? I mean, if it was out there, it was for the taking. So what if we needed a little help from the reptilian folks? The ignorant, more or less benign scientists did have other unasked questions, such as the involvement of the old world idealist. Dr. Ernest Rupp was a notorious genetic engineer. He did push the envelope in his work with transhumanism, nanotechnology, and the super soldier, besides the funding of such hawkish elements as the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, was a necessary evil to complete the project. The probability of needing a plasma weapon in a world in which man had ample fuel would be unnecessary. The founders of the Aladdin Project would chuckle at the suggestion that the antimatter could be used for a weapon of mass destruction. Given all the security protocol, the device was ultimately tamper-proof. They were also encouraged knowing that they had a humanitarian in their midst. Sir Samuel Hillary, a recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, was world-renowned for his efforts to preserve the environment. Not only was he a cracked environment, but he was also vaunted by Western media as a deeply spiritual man. Sam volunteered his time to manage the quality control and safety of the project. Samuel assured the scientists that Professor Rupp, while a bit of an idealist, was harmless. The only application that was associated to the military concerned the development of anti-gravity ship. I mean, it's not like they were something from an H.G. Wells novel. The marvel was that these ships have been in advanced development for several years. Professor Rupp had a fleet of these vehicles secured beneath the unsuspecting citizens of New Mexico. And yes, the lead ship was now outfitted with a weapon capable of atomizing entire cities. The small problem of ordnance was about to be resolved. As the LAMP, otherwise known as Light Amplification Magnetic Pulse Accelerator, had been in a warm-up stage for over 6 months, science would have to wait on the laws of attraction. This would occur on December 21st, 1111 Zulu. Given the density of the magnetic cache beneath the lab, at a precise nanosecond, the magnetic engine was at peak performance. The particle exceeded the predicted speed, collapsing time-space, closing the gap between the Earth realm and the core of the Milky Way instantaneously. As the adroit scientists were gathering their measurements, they noticed that the antimatter had strange, unforeseen characteristics. It appeared that the core of the Milky Way was hiding something of significance, something that only Professor Rupp and Sam had a deep, if not an erotic lust for. With the unveiling of the God particle, science was given the impression that they were in possession of the final proof text that the universe was just a simple machine. If it was, it appeared that the cosmos had composed a melody. The unenlightened scientists would get their answer. The truth was out there, but in the timeless words of Jack Nicholson, they could not handle the truth. The dark matter did not reduce the formula at all. The tachyon accelerator did produce a finite piece of antimatter, but the matter emitted a distinct harmonic pattern. The multi-level encoding of the harmony appeared to be a highly encrypted text message. With the able assistance of recently developed computing technology referred to as the cloud, this technology made easy work of this cosmic melody. This cryptic song was unscrambled in less than 3 hours. The message was built around a Pythagorean theory. Laced into this rhythm was a 2-octave harmony. Its scientific significance escaped everyone but Rupp and Samuel. Someone was out there after all. This was by no means the outcome anticipated by the creators of the project. They had a tiger in a cage, but a musical tiger placed a new twist on the impersonal universe, suggesting a super intelligence that held an appreciation for music. Having anticipated this outcome, her Rupp and associates fed a virus into the program, running the cooling system for the accelerator. The scientists running the containment had no way of knowing that they were at meltdown, as the virus duplicated normal settings, feeding these back to the chief science officers. These scientists would be dead before they realized their betrayal. Rupp and Sam made a successful escape, leaving the colleagues fused in a pool of tektite glass. Within a year, this would become a monument. The fusion of pseudoscience and New Age religion would be referred to as the Eye of the Gods. The Ascended Masters were back, and the final war for the human soul was about to begin.